All right, welcome to Chapter 9, Corrective Action and Discipline, part of the Leadership Excellence book. Let's get right to the decision flow chart. We are on the left-hand side. We are dealing with a person who's not meeting expectations on a particular issue. All right, it doesn't mean they're a bad employee overall. It means on one specific issue, they're not meeting expectations. The example I'm going to give you in a few minutes is a person taking longer breaks than they should. Okay, the bottom line, though, is they are on the left-hand side. And I've referred to this in the past as the dark side. You want everybody on the right side. Of course you do. And they're on the left-hand side. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, doesn't mean they're a bad employee. It means they're not doing a specific expectation. They're not meeting it. Okay, so with that in mind, let's talk about what this is about. It's about you taking full control of what's happening under your leadership. Okay, corrective action is your problem. Now, let me share a thought with you. When I've been out in 230 some businesses in my career, I've dealt with tens of thousands of leaders. The bottom line is, I judge leadership on two criteria. Well, how do you do that? It's easy because they're so important. I judge leaders on how they handle conflict between employees, and I judge them on how they take corrective action. There's nothing more personal than conflict at work. People don't go home and complain about the work itself. Many times they complain about the people they have to work with and the conflict that's occurring. It's very, very personal. The second one is corrective action. No one wants to pick up the slack from somebody not doing their job. And so if you look at it and go, well, okay, now I get it. You can judge a leader on those two things because they're so incredibly important to their people that if they don't do them, they lose complete credibility with their people. Bingo. Now you understand how I can judge based on two factors. Now I judge based on more factors than that. Come on, give me some credit here. But if I want to find out very quickly, I just simply say, hey, how does so-and-so handle conflict? How does so-and-so handle slackers? Okay, it's about doing what mediocre managers fail to do, and that's deal with slackers. The bottom line with this process is get people better or get them gone. Bottom line, all right? You're trying to get everybody to the right side. Now, let's go through the steps. Point out the difference between agreed upon expectations and present performance. Joe, when we talked 2 weeks ago, we agreed that your breaks were 10 minutes. However, I've observed the last 4 breaks on the following dates and the following times, it took an average of 15 minutes. What you're doing is trying to show the gap. Here's where they're supposed to be, and here's where they are. You need to get them up here, okay? If you don't show the gap, they'll have no idea what they're doing wrong. They need to know, hey, you're supposed to be at 98%, you're at 95. Pretty straightforward. You're supposed to call in whenever you're absent, and you did not. Pretty straightforward. All right, specifically describe the negative impact of their performance, and this can be impact on their work and their performance and their productivity and their impact on other people. You have a person whose workstation's working just fine and they're doing just fine on numbers, but they're bugging other people by talking to them at their workstations. That's affecting their performance. So performance is not just narrowed down to the individual. It could be the impact that they have on other people. All right, so it's important that they understand that. Ask how they view it. Now, this is critical. I gave you the example of a person being 15 minutes at break instead of 10. So you ask a person, how do you view the situation? Well, you know, Mick, the last 2 times, or 4 times, whatever I just rattled off for times that it happened, so-and-so called me into their office and was asking me for questions about yesterday's productivity. Oh, my goodness. Okay, here we are thinking this is a corrective action problem, and the person is back into their old habits. They're not. Somebody pulled them aside, and the person's doing their job, all right? But they pulled them aside, and I didn't know that as a leader. Stop. Stop right here at number 3, safety valve, get out of it. Get out of this topic, talk about it from a problem-solving standpoint, talk about it from an expectation-setting standpoint, and say, look, here's my expectation. If that happens again, please let so-and-so know that you'd be happy to meet with them, but they need to talk to me first so that I know where you are. Okay, you see what just happened? As a leader, I thought I was doing corrective action. I'm not. I just realized it's beyond the employee's control. And now we went into problem solving, and I went back to the top of the decision flow chart and set an expectation for when somebody pulls them aside, they need to let me know this is happening. Okay, and they can do it in real time. They can call me real quick. Say, hey, I got Joe over here. I got a couple questions. Okay, no problem. I'll make sure we watch his machine. That's simple. Okay, let's assume that the employee is at issue. Okay, ask the employee what he'll do to correct it, and then add your own ideas. And the key word here is and then. All right, don't go in there. You need to do this, Joe, and you need to do that. Get your butt back to your workstation. Come on, that's silliness. Okay, what are you going to do to fix this, Joe? How can you make sure you're back to your machine on time? Okay, explain any disciplinary steps you plan to take and why. If this is a verbal warning, you have to tell them that. If this is written, obviously you've given a verbal about this or something else previously, you need to tell them that. If this is not a warning at all, you need to tell them that. By the way, Joe, this is just a heads up. This is not official. I just want you to know that I need you back at your machine in 10 minutes. All right, now keep in mind, you got to fix this, Joe. This can't happen again. Okay, number 6, mutually agree on an action plan and a follow-up date. Joe, I need you to come up with an action plan of what you're going to do to make sure that you're back on time. Well, I think what I'm going to have to do is go to the bathroom before I take a break instead of after. Maybe they have some personal issues, whatever, and that's the way to do it, so then they can monitor their time better, whatever the situation. All right. Number 7, express your confidence that the employee will correct the situation. Joe, you know, we've had conversations over the years about all these different things. I know you take your job seriously, and I know you're going to get this fixed, and I appreciate it. And anything I can do to support you, let me know. That's it. That's it. Well, gee, Mick, that wasn't so bad. No, it wasn't. What's the secret? What's the secret to all of these? The script. What will you say for? For you having each of the words, all the words laid out ahead of time so that when you sit down with them, it comes natural. And you walk them through the process very logically. And again, as I mentioned previously, don't be afraid to role play the heck out of this with another person. Don't be afraid to try AI. As I mentioned, I'm going to come up with some scripts that you can insert in the AI so they play a certain role and you can practice. I do not suggest that they're as good as a human ever, but it's a good way to practice. And actually, AI is kind of fun to do that with because we do some role playing with AI. All right. So the bottom line is this. If you fail to deal with slackers or anybody with a need for corrective action, you fail at leadership. This is so personal. I don't want to do the work of another person. I'm here to get paid for me doing a good job, not me helping some slacker get away with murder. Okay? Don't believe it. Real leaders deal with conflict and corrective action immediately and effectively because it's cancerous. All right, these are the 2 most cancerous things in an organization. And it's a shame. They don't have to be. Conflict is not that hard to deal with. It really isn't. I've got a whole set of topics on that in another book. All right. The bottom line is if you don't deal with conflict or don't deal with this topic, corrective action, you're not a leader. It's just that simple. Because you're allowing your people to suffer because you're unwilling to take action. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed all 9 chapters of this, and I wish you the best. Hager out. Thank you.